More.
So how many people here have their phones on them? And then how many have a social media tab already open? Exactly. That's the reality of life for today. So 45% of girls actually feel overwhelmed compared to the 32% of boys due to social media, according to Pew Research. This is because our phones are actually literally glued to us 24/7. All we have is our phone. It's what connects us to our world and everyday life. And that's about it. But it also causes a lot of strain, especially on women's mental health, which is what we are going to talk about today. So, since we're going to talk about how it affects women's mental health, that is because it will affect their emotional distraught, body dissatisfaction, and there's also ways to cope with it. So I'm sure everybody knows what anxiety is and depression, and those are very prevalent in everyday society. Anxiety is actually 23% higher for women and 50% higher of depression due to social media because of how much it affects women in everyday life. I'm sure all of us know what FOMO is. It's fear of missing out. And I'm sure everybody can relate to the fact that we've all seen our friends post these pictures and we're sitting at home and we have nothing else to do about it and we have that sickening feeling in it. That actually deteriorates your mental health and also your physical, especially for women, because women are known for being always on their phone. They're always usually going at it. They're usually doing whatever on their phone, but it actually does affect your mental health more than anybody else's. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is actually depression, and how depression is actually a very prevalent thing in accordance with social media, especially women. So depression is obviously a very well-known fact in this everyday life, which is sad to talk about, but it's true. And actually, according to Very Well Mind, suicide rates from 1999 to 2014 have actually increased, and they believe that is due to social media. Due to the fact that women 24/7, all they see are these beautiful women on their phones, and they have to compare to this, that, and everything in between. We have to worry about what we eat, what we look like, how we sit like, how we can act more ladylike, so we say. But in reality, that's not how it has to be. But women don't understand that, because all we see are on every single type of app is just, once again, all we see is literally beautiful women on every social media platform. And that is just due to the fact that it's surrounding us. It's what's glued to our phone and what's glued to our hand, because nowadays people use social media not only for posting pictures or posting videos, it's actually used for hatred and bullying, and that's what it's known for. And it tears girls down more and more, which decreases their mental health more and more. Next thing that we're going to be talking about is actually body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia is a huge counteract with mental health, especially with women. We are known to be we're known to look a certain way and act a certain way, and that's what causes us to have such a bad mental health rep. So actually, according to Stop Stigma, around 20 million women in America have an actual eating disorder. Eating disorders are very common in America, and it is a sad fact, but it's also a known fact. And that is due to the fact that we all scroll on our Instagram, and at a young age, all we're staring at is what beautiful girls that we all have to compare ourselves to, because we want to be like that, we want to look like that, we want to buy that, we want to do this, we want to do that. But it's not okay. And children at a young age are set in front of the TV, and young girls are actually forced to see all this terrible and be comparing themselves at such a young age, especially in adolescence. It's horrible to see yourself and be comparing yourself to a woman that is 20 years older than you. And actually, Harvard Public Health says that if you see a bunch of social media as a preteen, it changes you throughout your life, because of the fact that you're growing up seeing a beautiful woman online, you're seeing a supermodel, you're seeing this and that and everything in between, and you want to look like that, you want to buy that, you want to look like that, which deteriorates your mental health, but also your physical health. And then all you see is these beautiful women and nothing else in between. So now we're going to talk about how you can actually cope with this mental health, and how you can kind of change around the path, and there's ways to actually go about without without being on your phone and being on social media 24/7. And so it's a known fact that if you take away your phone and you're not looking at it and you're perfectly fine without it, you're probably not worrying about what somebody's saying about you. You're not worrying about those notifications popping up 24/7. You're not worrying about what the next person next to you is going to be saying about you. All you care about is what your little bubble and how you're going to act in it. And according to psychology today, it says that actually taking a break from social media increases self-esteem. It increases how you view yourself. It increases your actual happiness, because you're not just staring at the facts of you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you don't have this, you don't have that, but instead you can actually focus on yourself and see how you are acting as a person, which is what everybody needs. But there's also other ways. It's a lot harder said than done to be like, oh, just put down your phone, oh, just push it to the side, oh, don't worry about that, worry about that tomorrow. That's not how this works. Today's society, everything's on our phone, and everything on our phone is very harmful, especially to women. And so there's other ways to do that, which include actually putting on Do Not Disturb, putting on time limits for all your apps, making sure that maybe you're on TikTok for like 5 minutes and Instagram for another 5. That's okay. It's okay to take a break from social media, because it actually increases your mental health, and which it will increase your physical health, like we talked about above. But not doing that will continuously deteriorate your mental health. So then, in conclusion, we are going to go over basically what we talked about today, which was how emotional distraught occurs because of social media, how anxiety and depression occur within social media, especially according to women, how body dysmorphia occurs, and how it happens due to the fact of social media, which, yes, it's one factor, but there's a whole lot of other factors, but this is a huge one in today's societies especially. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how we coped with it. So obviously we talked about anxiety and how it deteriorates you and how it's a crippling mental health illness, but it is there because of social media, and women experience it a lot more harsh than men. And then depression, obviously, we looked at that and we saw how social media actually can increase suicide. It can increase everything you can think of, because of the fact that it is all you're staring at 24/7 and you're comparing yourself all the time. Then we looked at the ways of how to actually change your mind and changing the way that you view yourself, and changing how to actually go about not just staring at a screen and going off of whatever they're saying about you. And so we talked about how perfect example is time-sensitive apps or time limits, turning off your phone completely, or even putting on Do Not Disturb. And those are okay. But I just want everybody to know here today that social media does affect women, and it affects them way more than I think anybody would ever realize, and how it's okay to find help with issues that you're facing, especially with body dysmorphia, especially with depression, especially with anxiety, due to social media, because it is a crippling mental disorder that everybody has to go through, and it's okay to call out for help. But so then, in conclusion, basically, thank everybody for everyone listening and being around to hear about the struggles with mental health and social media, especially on women.